Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're really pleased to have you here with us tonight for the virtual opening / artist talk for the brand new art exhibition here at the Silk Purse Arts Center called Broadening the Horizon. It's a wonderful exhibition of three very talented abstract artists, and we're going to get a chance to chat with two of them tonight. We get to hear all about their inspirations, their process, their practices, and you can talk to them too. If you have any questions or comments, you can drop them in the chat. My name is Stephen Snyder. I am the Gallery and Communications Coordinator for the West Vancouver Community Arts Council. I'll be your host this evening. Coming to you live from the Silk Purse Arts Center in West Vancouver on the unceded and traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Squamish Nation, the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, and the Musqueam Nation. And we are incredibly grateful to be on these lands and thankful to our host nations and neighbors for their stewardship of these lands since time immemorial. So Broadening the Horizon features three fantastic artists, Idris Hudson, Connie O'Connor, and Claudia Wiebe. Connie and Claudia are here with us tonight. It's great to have you both here with us. And we'll get to chat with you in just a moment. You can actually see a little bit of Connie's work behind me. And later on, we'll take a quick tour of the exhibit so you can get a taste for everything. And then each of our artists is going to chat a little bit more in depth about one of the pieces of art on display, so you can get a sense of where this is all coming from. So Broadening the Horizon, it just opened today, and it is going to run until August the 21st. So you have plenty of time to come on down and see it. The Silk Purse is open regular hours, Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 5 and Sundays 12 to 4. But if you're in the area in the next 10 or so days, we are going to be open extended hours during the Harmony Arts Festival. We'll be open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. from July 29th to August the 7th. So make sure to come on by and have a look at this amazing art. So let's meet our amazing artists. So Connie and Claudia are just going to introduce themselves, and you'll get to know them a little bit. Let's go alphabetical. Connie, let's start with you.
Thank you. Sounds good. So I guess I'll talk about my background first. And I was in my first art show when I was 8 years old. I won a coloring contest. Now, I did all kinds of creative things the whole time I was growing up. But if you fast forward, my career was in education. And I taught for many, many years. I didn't teach art, but the courses related that I taught were fashion and design, clothing and textiles. And I pretty much could, tell you the elements and principles of design in my sleep with my eyes closed. Truly ingrained in what I do. And I love teaching. It was really great. In 2006, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So then I was off. And one of the programs offered by the BC Cancer Agency was a mindful meditation course. And so that's where that came into my being. And as I say on my website, etc., a lot of my paintings are named from mantras and concepts from mindful meditation. I try to do it every day. It doesn't happen necessarily every day, but certainly I would say 5 out of 7 days of the week. And it's an amazing thing to do. So after I was done my treatment and not really ready to go back to work, I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do. So I don't know, for some reason I started painting, and I actually took my first course with Wes Van Breck, and it was inspiring. And, then I just dabbled in it because of course I was back full-time working. And then retirement came along and I was able to do more coursework, which I did through the Federation of Canadian Artists. And I, started entering exhibitions, etc. and with other arts councils, along with the West Van one. And that became my practice. Yeah, the Silk Purse is a very special building to me because I worked in the area and taught or lived there almost 20 years. And so, I mean, I walked by there, I walked through there. I didn't even know how many times. So that my art is there is just amazing. I am so grateful and so honored, and to be with Claudia and Idris. I'm so excited to see it all up and hanging, and thank you, Stephen, for putting us together.
That was great. Thanks, Claudia. Thanks for that introduction, and thanks for sharing everything, your whole story. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now, Claudia, please tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. I'd like to thank West Van Arts Council for giving me the opportunity to participate in this exhibition. And just like Connie said, this one is a really special one to me because, as Connie, I walk by Silk Purse all the time. I love the building. I love the seawall, and just going and sitting at the ocean just grounds me. So to have my art hanging there is going to be just really special and exciting. And I also like to thank all of you who are watching tonight on this really hot Wednesday evening, joining us on Zoom. It's a great way to first meet and get a look at our artworks. So a little bit of background for me. I'm originally from Germany and have lived in Vancouver for over 33 years now. And life has taken me on many different roads, being a pediatric nurse in Germany, a caregiver when I first came here, a mother, teacher, and mentor, and today an artist. And also I've been practicing or painting for 17 years now. I never really had enough time or space to take it to the next level. So in 2020, I made the decision to pursue my dreams to become a full-time artist. And I've been doing that ever since with really great passion. So my work is inspired by the ever-changing complexities of love and loss, joy and grief. And having had to overcome many challenges in my life, I'm drawn to the expressive and the healing components of art. I paint intuitively and trust my instincts, and let go of my expectations and control, and really try to embrace the unknown. My artwork is characterized very often by very vibrant colors, bold marks, and in particular, many, many layers. And that's probably the part that I love the most. These layers, they are just like life to me, evidence of what happened to us. They seem to tell a story, and it's those stories that make us all most interesting. It's my hope to evoke an emotional response or memory for the viewer. And I also want to leave lots of room for their own imagination and interpretation. And it's my wish that my artwork touches someone deeply and sparks their soul. And last but not least, it's important for me to give back to the community. I like to support the maybe not so common causes and those who are less fortunate, all of which are very close to my heart. And it's often them and their stories that inspire me the most, stepping out of shame and vulnerability into transparency. And I can identify with that because I have learned that your past doesn't have to define you, and actually can give you more strength and resilience. And I personally have learned to live with my scars. So art has been a big healing component for me and has enriched my life immensely. And for that, I'm so very grateful. Yeah, that I think was it for me.
Thank you for sharing that, Claudia. That was very insightful, and I really appreciate both of you being so open and vulnerable, talking about your art. I think that's really important, and it very much comes across in your work. It's very expressive artwork. It says a lot, and there's a lot to interpret, like you said, Claudia. Just a little bit about Idris. Idris Hudson is an artist currently based out of Penticton, of the Stolo and Cheem nation's descent. He works in all kinds of media. You'll get to see some of his pieces here. Mixed media, assemblage, lots of layers, like Connie and Claudia, lots and lots of layers of paint and other materials. And again, coming from an intuitive place, like the two of you, very much just seeing these materials, putting them together and seeing what kind of emotions spark from that, and what kind of colors can be added to it. So this exhibition, Broadening the Horizon, like the both of you just said, is very much about sharing the artist's point of view on their emotions and their inner life, but also leaving that up to the audience to interpret and sort of connect with their own self on an intimate and deep level, and kind of broadening their horizon of how to, I guess, look inwards at themselves and maybe look at the artwork and experience art in a new way, which is always important to open your mind up when you're seeing a new artist, and to try and experience that. Now, we left the artists. This is a question I didn't prepare you for. We left the title of the exhibition up to the artists. So how did you come up with Broadening the Horizon? I would love to hear that story.
Well, I mean, it was emails, right? So we weren't all in the room, sadly, you know, with everything, our health crisis at the moment, together. And I don't know, just because we're intuitive, I think that word, I think maybe Claudia, you used it in your proposal.
Yeah, and I think for me, it was just opening up new perspectives, looking at things from a different angle, instead of that sometimes tunnel vision that one can get very quickly. And yeah, it is my hope to evoke a feeling or an emotion for the viewer, and that the paintings will take them to new horizons, new perspectives, expand maybe their own view of life a little bit, or hit a chord deep down inside.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So speaking of the exhibition, now we're going to take a quick little tour of the gallery with all the artwork up. It's I gotta say, it's a pretty cool show. Let me just pull that up. Yeah. And Claudia and Connie, anything you want to say while we're walking through? Feel free. After this, we'll do a deep dive into a work of art from each of these artists. You can hear a little bit more about their work.
Oh, wow.
That looks great.
Wow, yeah. Wow. Wow. Oh, that looks amazing. Love it.
Yeah, it was really fun.
The space is beautiful.
Thanks.
Just gorgeous.
So this is kind of the view as you come in off our waterfront entrance. This starts off with Connie's work, or Claudia's work, sorry. Yeah. All the C's. But yeah, like you were saying, Claudia, just layers. There are so many layers. When you get up close to your pieces, you can find
Yeah.
all these great little things, little shapes, little textures going on.
Yeah, lots of scraping. That's, I think, what I like the most, scraping and seeing what's underneath. That fascinates me a lot.
Cool. You mean like taking a tool of some kind and sort of like dragging it through the paint?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very vibrant colors.
Yeah.
I love seeing things like these sort of almost mesh like patterns happening too.
Yeah, it's netting actually. You know, like from bags with avocados or lemons.
Ah,
It's that netting that I use. I always try to reuse things. I love the idea and always look at packaging that I could possibly use. Oh wow, that's cool.
right. Yeah, these are two pieces from Idris Hudson. This was a skateboard.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and this sort of a plastic like tarp material overlaid with tons of enamel and spray paint.
Hmm.
Can you plug it in?
It is. It's an electrical plug, but the end's cut off.
Oh, wow.
And then this piece is all kinds of materials. There's some driftwood, an old picture frame, more plastic, and some wood pieces. Everything's just kind of jumping out and screaming at you
Mm-hmm.
to
Lots
kind
of
of
texture.
explore. Yeah. Yes. So much texture.
Yeah.
And then we come over to Connie's wonderful paintings.
Thank you.
Connie, which your work has so much movement happening in it. There's a lot for your eye to follow around and trace.
Yeah, I'm very gestural. I often work flat, so I work on the floor. Like one of my girlfriends said, you crawl around like a little kid, which is true. And or on a tabletop. I mean, you know, I prop things up. Obviously, you see the paint pours, but yeah, I really get right in there.
Yeah. And again, so many layers. It must take a long time to just kind of keep building and building up your pieces.
Yeah, it does. And you can't rush it, which is good, right? And you have to step away from it and I just let it dry. Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes I work in it when it's wet.
And I think, you know, with Claudia's bold, vibrant pieces and your soft, a little bit more gentle palette, and then with Idris's almost metallic colors, there's a very interesting color exchange happening in the exhibit.
Yeah.
They're all quite very different from each other.
Looks great.
Yeah, really, really well done, Stephen.
Yeah.
I just put them up. You guys did all the hard work.
Yeah. There's a real skill set to, you know, hanging the exhibition, I believe.
Yeah, but it was fun when you came and dropped off the artwork the other day. That that's the best part about setting up a show. It's I think I said this at the day. It's like Christmas or your birthday. You get this treat of artwork to feast upon for the rest of the day.
Yeah, take it in.
Yeah, so please, that was a little bit of a quick video. So please come on down to the Silk Purse to really, really take it in and really experience everything that's happening with this artwork. You can spend so much time just getting lost in it and exploring and just following the marks and textures and seeing what that makes you feel and kind of examining maybe why you feel that way. It's a pretty special show. And I appreciate both of you sharing your fondness for our little seaside gallery. It's pretty special to have artists who enjoy it, to come in and actually get to show in it. That's really great.
Yeah,
definitely positive reaction on Instagram. It's well known. It's iconic, really.
I'd like to think so. Thanks for saying so. So now we are going to pull up some work by each of these amazing artists to give us a little bit more insight into their process, their inspirations behind these particular pieces, which will hopefully give you some insight into their artistic practice as a whole, but in particular, the artwork that's on display right here. And if you have any questions or comments for Claudia or Connie, drop them in the chat and we will get to them. Awesome. Okay, so we'll start with Claudia. Please tell us about this piece.
Yes, okay. So I chose the painting More Than You Realize, as it is a good representation explaining and showing my process. This painting truly deserves its title for so many reasons, and the simple fact that it took me a lot longer than I actually realized. There are countless layers of paint, marks, scratches, excavations to bring back some of the very early stages to shine through. And I don't know, Stephen, if you can maybe zoom in a little bit on some of the details, but I like to talk a little bit about my process in general. I often begin just with an emotion, a word, a sentence, a poem, a thought. And the very first marks are created with absolute freedom and curiosity. The painting then takes shape by adding many layers of acrylic paint and mixed media, using a variety of pastels, graphite, charcoal, ink pencils, chalk, acrylic markers, and making these marks with rather unconventional tools. I use a lot from the kitchen, like a whisk, the barbecue brush, my old kitchen knife, spatulas, netting, as I had mentioned before. I always check before I throw out any packaging, because I find every net has a different look and feels different, and it could possibly be good texture for a painting. And I really like the idea of reusing. So I also use things like a shower scrub brush, squeegee, scrapers, sandpaper, cardboard, driftwood, sticks, feathers, credit cards. The possibilities are really endless. And I'm very excited about trying out new materials and experimenting, just exploring new techniques. And at any time, I may change direction for new ideas or creative impulses to emerge. And I really embrace the unpredictable while never abandoning my intuition. And Stephen, can you go to the other slide, please, so we can show the progression where this painting initially started.
Sorry, that was not the.
It's okay.
There we go. It's coming up. A little out of practice. We haven't done one.
That's okay. I don't have any practice, so. Yeah, okay, so the first image on the very left shows my starting point, and with just random marks, and I quickly found that this was way too busy, and I wanted to soften and mute it a bit, which you can see in image 2 by adding some more solid colors and putting in some runs. And at this point, I also realized that I was struggling with the format. I had never painted a 12 by 36 before. And I then had the idea to make it part of a series I was working at the same time with 2 bigger paintings, which you can see slightly in image 3. So I completely changed the color palette and was constantly adding and taking away for the story to slowly emerge. In the end, I found that the painting deserved better than being part of a series and was stronger on its own. So image 4 shows the next evolution. However, I was still not pleased at all where this painting was headed. So could you please go back to the actual painting? Because then I decided to switch back.
Claudia?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And these images don't represent all the different stages. I don't always take photos, but sometimes I just do it for my own peace of mind to see where the painting is taking me.
Yeah.
So, Stephen, could you please go back to the original painting?
Oh, you're not seeing that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I still see the split image.
Ah, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
There we are.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I switched back to more grays and pinks and a bit of reds, and also for the very first time experimented with spray paint, the orange. And I've never done that before. And I found that I had to do a lot of veiling, like pretty much right away, because the orange spray paint was just way too strong and dominant. And so a lot of scraping and sanding was done to reveal the layers underneath. And for me, as I mentioned before, this is the most interesting and intriguing part. I also rotated the painting a lot, painted upside down for a couple of days until I knew kind of what orientation worked best for me. And just so you know, the painting also can be hung horizontally. I continued to create more texture with various tools and made more marks with charcoal, my trusty kitchen knife. I love my knife. And steel wool, graphite, pastels, and chalk. And the painting by then had truly earned its title, but it still needed to sit with me for quite a while. And I do this sometimes before I know that a painting is truly finished. I will move it actually into our dining room and just watch it and observe it over breakfast, lunch, and dinner and see if it needs something else. And it's that quiet conversation that the painting and I have that I find is so important, because sometimes it will tell me something. And I know this may sound really weird, but for me, it's a step in order to know that it's truly complete and I can release it then. So, and I'm also always so amazed how different every painting evolves. Like some paintings, they come just so easy. They flow, they just take off on their own, while others are really stubborn and almost take forever, or they take their time to come to life and to be born. So at the end of this painting, I applied several coats of varnish as well as a final layer of cold wax to give it a beautiful sheen. And to conclude, I would actually like to read my thoughts or reflections that I had when the painting More Than You Realize was complete. So I'm going to have to read this. So just like in life, there is sometimes more pain, more sorrow, more regret, more loss, but also more joy, happiness, laughter than you ever thought would ever happen again. Life has made you braver, wiser, and stronger than you may realize, resilient and vulnerable, open to be you, to be all in. You fall and rise and try it all over again. Never underestimate your power of being yourself and being seen. And also what you may not realize at the time, what if everything you are going through is preparing you for what you asked for? So.
Wow. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Thank you.
That was great. And to see how the piece evolved over time is pretty fascinating to see where it ended up here at this final stage.
Yeah.
Inspiring, Claudia.
Thank you, Connie.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Yeah, to see all those different stages and hear all the different tools you used and techniques and flipping it around, sitting it with it for a couple of days and then going back to
weeks.
Try it again.
Weeks, actually, not days. This one was really a challenging one for me.
But I guess that challenge is rewarding based upon
exactly.
that reflection that you read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, Connie, we're going to see one of your pieces. I'm just going to pull that up. Okay. So please tell us about this lovely piece.
Thank you. So this is called Endless Horizon. And there's a number of things that I'll be saying that are similar to Claudia's. And I think likely with a lot of abstract artists, I write words first on the painting. And of course, they're eventually covered up. I do a lot of journaling as well before I approach the piece. And in this particular case, I'm sticking with this warm yellow color palette with the blue. So acrylic paint, a lot of mediums. I love texture. I love creating the texture. And this is the first time, I mean, obviously when you create yellow and blue, you get green, but it's actually the first time I've really used a lot of green. As in the one behind you, Stephen, there's a lot of deep greens in there. And I quite like a muted palette, although if you look back at my website, I've certainly done lots of bright colors as well. But right now, that more muted and kind of soft. So I like that hard and soft edge, kind of a misty feeling in this particular one. Definitely like scraping into the thick paint, as you can see in that one section of the creamy yellow, and then there's the pink underneath there. And like Claudia, a lot of different tools, the end of the paintbrush, feather sticks, kind of you name it, right? Whatever you can get your hands on. And you do just make all these amazing marks. Oil pastels, definitely. And charcoal. I like working the charcoal into the wet paint, and you come up with some really beautiful grays. The distinct brush strokes aren't so much in this one compared to some of the works behind you, but I really like doing those brush strokes. And again, that really gestural kind of mark making. These are a little bit softer. I felt they actually have quite a Zen feeling to them and a calming feeling, which I really liked about this painting. And like Claudia, when does it begin and end? You know, and that people love to ask that question. How do you know it's done? And sometimes I will actually put them away and I won't look at them, which is a challenge because you want to get back in there, but it's good to let it rest. And this one just ended beautifully. It was there. It just was ready to be done, and I didn't have to think too much about it, which isn't the case of all of them. The Moody Horizon, which is behind you there, Stephen, it has so many different layers and changes, much like Claudia, you change, you know, it's just like, how can that even be the same painting? But yeah, it's interesting what happens at the very end. And of course, all the way through. It is about the process, right? Yeah. So yeah, painting intuitively, but I mean, I'd say it's pretty clear there's a horizon line here. And I love horizon lines. And it kind of, you know, somehow deep inside me is, I grew up in Manitoba on a beautiful grain farm, and the horizons are really, really endless. Like it just goes forever. And I also grew up in a family that was very encouraging and loving. And, you know, so possibilities were endless. I never thought I couldn't paint. I just thought, let's try this. And, you know, I had some background in design, but to pick up a paintbrush is a whole different experience. So, yeah, I'm trying to think what else is in there that might be of interest. But yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Connie, for sharing those insights. Yeah, there are some really interesting gestures and marks happening in this piece. It's as you said, it's a little softer than the some of the other pieces in the exhibit, but there's something really really inviting about that calmness in a different way, whereas the ones that are a little bit more solid have a different kind of intensity that you want to explore.
Right.
Excellent. Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you, both of you, for talking about those really cool pieces and talking about your process too. I think that's always interesting for people to get a bit of a sense on. Like you said, people always ask you, when do you know when it's done? But when do you know how to start? That's pretty interesting. Like I think Connie, you mentioned sometimes you'll use words. You'll just start writing on a canvas. That's pretty interesting. And you said you do journaling. Is that kind of where that came from?
Yeah, I believe so. I've done journals my whole life, and, you know, all kinds of different, more, you know, some just kind of the run of the mill, like daily journal with things that like tasks, etc. But also those very personal journals where you're, you know, talking about your feelings. And, you know, again, my mom wrote a journal, so I grew up with that. And it's a really beautiful exercise to do. And I do a gratitude journal every night. Absolutely have done that now for the past 3 years, a dedicated practice. And it's just a good way to finish the day. And,
yeah,
you know, because we have so much to be grateful for. Yeah.
Totally. That's something to definitely reflect upon. All of the things that you have and that are at your disposal, definitely. And Claudia, when you start a work, again, it's from kind of an intuitive space. But what are some of the first kind of what's kind of going through your mind at first? Is it more a feeling, or more just like, I want to explore this technique or texture?
Probably a feeling, an emotion. I stand in front of the blank canvas, and I love that feeling, just gesso to start my starting point, and then just mark making. And I just go with my emotions. So sometimes I have a sentence in my head or a fragment of a poem. And I may scribble that on the canvas, or I may just have it in my head and transfer it on the canvas. Yeah, it really depends. Sometimes it's a melody. As funny as that sounds, I don't listen to music while I paint. It has to be quiet. So I really dive into that and just embrace the unpredictable. I don't really have a conceived idea at the beginning of where this may take or what I want to see, and I try not to have expectations. So the very beginning, I find is the easiest stage, because you can just make marks and you can go over it again and put more layers on and scrape it away. And yeah, that's the fun part, actually, where you go with complete freedom and you don't overthink it. There are stages where you think about composition and contrast and value and all of that. And then all of a sudden you go, it's so much in your head that you're not free to, or at least I am sometimes get blocked. I'm not free to continue painting because I think it's not bold enough, or it leaks value. So the beginning stages for me are the really fun ones. And as I said before, when it's kind of towards the end and I've done a lot of sanding or scraping away, and sometimes I even I paint with I talked about my kitchen knife before. This is it. So I really scratch away the surface, and sometimes I go quite deep. And that really intrigues me, to see what's below the surface. And then I add some more marks and cover it up again, and I make more texture. So yeah, I just love the process, and I love the unknown where it takes me.
Yeah. Now you both have pretty diverse backgrounds before coming into life as a full-time professional artist. I know you've both said that you've tried all kinds of different creative things. What was it about moving into painting, and I guess probably then exploring kind of abstract artwork, that really felt that this was the medium and kind of the style for you?
Well, I've been, I guess, creative all my life. I love to do crafts with my kids when they were little. And when I was a teacher, I liked anything that had to do with painting. And for me to just embark on abstract, I guess, maybe because it leaves so much room for the viewer's own imagination and interpretation. It's not, yeah, it's just open. It's open to all sorts of things that people can see or want to see in the painting.
Yeah, and for me, with the fashion, you know, we did fashion illustration, and you need to have it accurate because, you know, generally it's around a retail project, right? And I did landscape, I did some florals, and there's that fine line between, well, if it looks perfectly like photograph or the actual item, do I need a painting?
Good point.
So I can paint somebody used this expression, it's not mine, but I can paint that thing, but okay, now what? And I believe that's where that abstract, it's just wide open. It's what you feel, what is going to happen? We don't know. And then the other interesting part, of course, is how does the viewer react to it? And what do they feel?
Yeah.
And, Stephen, you'll see that in the gallery, and Claudia, with your work. Like, if somebody gets excited about it, it's like, wow. And, it's an honor if they buy it and they want it in their home, right? To be part of their life. That's just really amazing. But the abstract is, and some of the traditional abstract artists, from the past, like Georgia O'Keeffe is, how she changed her style, and Joan Mitchell, like, just amazing and inspiring people. So, yeah.
And it is that that viewer reaction that can be kind of all worth it, all the layers and scraping and sometimes torture that it is creating a piece to work through whatever you're working through, and then to see someone stare at it, for like 10 minutes straight, must be pretty great.
Indeed.
And people do. We just opened the exhibit today, and we have people in, and they spent quite a while with the artwork. It was really nice to see engagement.
Great.
Which I think your work, the work on display, really invites that, because there's so much to explore, and there's clearly something trying to be said with all of these gestures, all of these marks, all of these colors, all of these textures. So there's a lot for the audience to figure out.
Yeah, and I find also every time you look at a painting, you can stare at it for 10 minutes and still find something new that you hadn't discovered before. Because there's this one little corner that is a particular mark or a scratch or just something. And I find that is really exciting when the viewer can detect that and get excited about it and get emotional or excited. Yeah.
No, and it is quite the emotional exhibition, I have to say. Depending on who you are, you can kind of run through the gamut of emotions, which is pretty cool. Just to let everyone watching know, if you are in the area on August the 4th, the gallery will be open a little bit later. We'll be open till 8 because that is our final First Thursdays art walk of the summer. And it'd be great to have you all come on down. We might have, maybe some of our artists might be in attendance, and you might be able to meet them and chat about the artwork with them, which is always a bonus.
Definitely hope to be there.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I think that was a great primer, a great intro into Claudia and Connie, into your work, into your practice, into your headspace as an artist, and a great example of all of the amazing artwork you can come on and see here in Broadening the Horizon at the Silk Purse in West Vancouver until August the 21st. So please come down and check out all of this stunning artwork. And if you want to check out the rest of what our amazing artists do, there are links in the description of this video to their websites and Instagrams. So you can check that out and follow what they're up to. So thank you everyone for watching. It was a pleasure having you here. And thank you, Connie and Claudia and Idris, for the amazing artwork. And thank you, Claudia and Connie, for sharing with us. It was very special to hear to your past and your inspirations. It was quite wonderful. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
So everyone watching, take care, stay creative, and we will see you down here at the Silk Purse taking in this exhibition very soon. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.